Okay, so we are. I'm Steve. That's Steve. And the cameraman. Hey, that's Steve too. I was thinking before we got here, I was like, well, we should do like a Steve festival.
There we go.
Be in the mayor. I mean, then we have all the Steves come in with name tags. But yeah, we'll jump right into it. I'm Steve with Iron Range Adventures Podcast. I'm sitting here with the mayor of Biwabik, Mr. Steve. I don't want to butcher the last name.
Biondich.
Biondich? Yeah. Okay, cool. And I would have to, I'm going to jump right in and say this. I know a lot of the other Iron Rangers are not going to be happy with it, but I think Biwabik is probably the best place on the Iron Range.
It's the best town in Minnesota, without a doubt.
I think, because you get that, like, when you drive in there, you kind of get that, like, ski resort feel, like you're somewhere not in Minnesota, but you are.
We were definitely well known for our Bavarian theme, and that theme dates back, 4 decades, and yeah, I believe it was 1985, and it was the Biwabik Area Civic Association that brought Governor Perpich around to start, to spark that. So, of course, having the ski resort in our town kind of helps that Alpine Bavarian theme that we've got, and we're working to revamp it to make it even better. So,
wow, that's awesome. And shout out to Vise. I was there for the first time, a couple of weeks ago. Great pizza, great food, great service. I guess for you, like, what being born and raised on the Iron Range, what did growing up teach you about hard work, respect, and community, and kind of passed along being the mayor?
Well, growing up on the range, I mean, granted, I grew up in a household where my dad worked road construction for 25 years. So there was a lot of long days and a lot of 6-day work weeks. And then as that transitioned, getting into more of, he had gotten out of that, went to work at Inland Steel back before it was ArcelorMittal and then Cleveland Cliffs. But you go from having, a person in your household working long hours, long days, hard work, and then transitioning to shift work, and working that shift work, you learn that it's an important part of the puzzle, or an important piece of the puzzle, I should say, for that work ethic. And I definitely had that instilled to me from a young age. So,
and then what are some childhood memories on the range that still make you smile today?
Well, I tell you what, a good old Minnesota, or northern Minnesota, I should say, because not everybody has it, 4th of July celebration. Still to this day, I remember those as a kid growing up. That it seemed like every town did and still does have a celebration. And I remember things like our very own Winock Fest celebration in Aurora, and I remember the Christmas lights. And then, summer months, Land of the Loon and the big parades, and just how the community gets together for different events throughout the year. And no matter, you'll take that to your grave, those memories as a kid. I think we all kind of see that and feel that around here.
Absolutely. And then kind of small world. Steve and I were talking before the podcast. Our last guest was Joy Osmond. How did you know Joy?
Well, her family lived next door to mine in Gilbert, probably, I don't want to say 40 years ago, but pretty close to 40 years ago.
World.
Yeah, it's always a small world. I think we all kind of figure, how small world that is. And, I was sitting in Texas Roadhouse the other day on a bench waiting to get in on Christmas Eve. And they started chatting with the guy across the way, and turns out I'd been to his house because I bought a couch from his parents like 10 years ago. Yeah, it was just, and it wasn't one of those regular Craigslist purchases. It was, here you're going home with mashed potatoes and meatballs along with your purchase.
Oh, that's awesome. And I feel like that's like the true, like, and we had another guest on as well, and like that's like the true, like, northern Minnesota, like, hey, we're going to take care of you and make sure that you feel warm and welcome pretty much wherever you are.
Absolutely.
And then I guess and I had to Google this a couple days ago because I'm like, what does a bear do? Like, and
some people say nothing. Some people say, you must work for about 80 cents an hour.
Sure.
It's, the thing is like in small town America, you're 1 vote of 5.
Okay.
That's it. You're a vote. However, you get to drive the ship. You get to lead the meetings. You get to, drive some different initiatives, and that's the only thing different than any of the other council members. I mean, you're kind of a figurehead versus you get to go to extra meetings. I'll tell you that much. That most of your regular other council and elected officials don't do. But it's it's turned into a 24/7, 365 job. I get phone calls, text messages, emails, and I encourage that. I'm not complaining about that. I definitely encourage it. The more communication I can have with our citizens and our community, the better. But it's a very busy job for not a lot of pay. We'll put it that way.
And I guess for you, so you and Cal are very, very well spoken people. And I was meaning to ask Cal too, where do you guys draw that strength from? Or how does becoming a leader, has something in your life built up to being a leader, or were you put in that role and hey, lights are on, it's time to go?
Even before I graduated high school, I was involved in the student government and things like that. I guess it's just, it comes natural to some, and others, it takes all types of people. Some of us are just louder, I guess. And it all depends on what situation you've been put in. But, the military obviously brought out more of that leadership quality as well. So that was definitely a part of shaping that whole part of my life and getting to where I am now.
And when you were in school, did you kind of know, so I guess for a lot of our audience and a lot of people, period. I mean, growing up, did you kind of know your path, or how did that, from high school to military, did you say, hey, when you're in high school, you said, hey, I'm gonna join the military and this is how it's gonna go, or how did that come about?
I guess I can't put a pinpoint on one path. I've had a lot of family, grandfather, uncles that were Army, Navy, everything else. So I'd always had that kind of an interest. And then as I was getting closer to that level of graduation, I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And I said, I want to serve my country. I didn't go for the travel. I didn't go for the college money, which did come in handy later on. Right. But I just wanted to serve the country. I wanted to put my part in and put my mark on the world.
Right.
So.
I guess what lessons from your upbringing still guide you and how you treat people today?
Always treat people with respect. And I grew up in a very traditional, old-fashioned household. Stay-at-home mom, dad's a minor. 0.5 kids, but of course it's just me and my sister. But but it was a very traditional household. But you learn to not talk back, and you learn to be respectful of other people and care about other people and how you made them feel as well. So
right. And is there something on the Iron Range culture that you hope never changes?
The pride, the small town community pride that we see on the Iron Range. I've been all over the country and parts of the world, but there's nothing quite like the Iron Range when it comes to community pride, heritage. We've all got, you look around this town, you've got how many different heritage centers, different places, but the Iron Range is very unique in that fashion, that there's just a sense of community pride, and I hope that never goes away. Right.
And then you served as a union steward. What motivated you to step into that role?
I always pay attention to what's going on, whether it's the workplace, the community, just around. And I was encouraged by some other employees to run for these positions within our union, and I did, and became financial secretary of our local prior to us closing down, and because I'm currently laid off from Menorca. Our local is still operating, but I was encouraged by some people to run and got involved. And of course, that's led to a lot of nationwide and international relationships through that, and just being able to help out the workers.
Sure. And then, so I get this all the time too, probably not as much as you, but how do you balance all that? How do you balance and juggle all that stuff going on?
Right here. If I don't put it in here, if it doesn't go in that calendar, it doesn't exist.
Oh, really?
I could sit here right now and tell you, absolutely, let's have lunch tomorrow at Copper Nickel on the course.
Sure.
And if you don't see me put it in there, just let you know that I'm not going to be. Yeah. It's definitely a juggling act. Yeah. Between mayor meetings, I'm very active with the American Legion. In fact, that's where I'm leaving after here, is to go set up for our kids' Christmas party. Sure. And then, between that, the Rams Board, Iron Range Tourism Bureau now, that's the newest one of my, I'm also vice president of Allied Charities in Minnesota. I got a very busy schedule. And, I used to laugh at people that were, when they retired, they're like, geez, I don't ever know how I had time to work. And I would just kind of chuckle and laugh. Well, since being laid off, I totally understand, because I'm busier now than I ever was.
Oh, right.
So.
Well, people, if you want to be lazy, you could be lazy. But we did talk, kind of off the cuff here, but we did kind of talk about before the cameras are on. How has government and like all that stuff changed? I mean, you got these keyboard warriors, and like people that are just, they're so negative online. Like, and then I talked to my family a little bit during the holidays, and a lot of things were kept private. Like, so your religion and your politics were kept private. Why is it now that it's so out there? Like, I don't.
You want the funny answer or the I think in the old days, if I said something to you that was awful, I'd get punched in the mouth. You don't get that anymore. It's everybody can sit behind a keyboard and anonymously post on things, and I don't know where that negativity came. I'm very fortunate. We don't have an official City of Biwabik Facebook page. Well, we do. It's just not active. But we have a group called Citizens of Biwabik, and I just happen to be one of the admins on it. We're very, very fortunate that in our little town that I would say 97.5% of all the comments on there are positive.
That's awesome.
Which really is another reason that sets Biwabik apart from everyone else. And it's frustrating because I do see, and everybody that's involved in government sees this constant barrage of social media posting that's rude, it's unprofessional, it's just downright mean, and everything is just so negative. And it doesn't matter if somebody's trying to open a business in town or something else. Everybody jumps to Facebook or I think Instagram's probably a little bit better because it's not quite that same type of forum, but it's very unfortunate, and we see it all the way to the international levels. But I don't know where we went astray on that, and I don't know how to fix it, but I do know that I'm very fortunate for the town I live in that most, even some of the harder conversations that we, because we use social media as a tool, when it comes to levies and budgets and different things going on in the city, we take to social media because you can reach a lot of people in a short amount of time. And I would say that, like I said, we're almost 100%, if not nothing positive, at least constructive and respectful, which is great.
And is it I watched some documentary too about it, and it's like if somebody's having a bad day, rather than just stick to themselves and solve it, they'll go on social media, and they'll rant or whatever. But it's typically not that the reason that they're ranting. It's not the problem that they're having, and the problem they're having is peel back the onion and something more internal that they should probably fix.
Right.
Well, and then also too, we'll give a little shout out too that you said the Pizza Hut got new owners as well.
That's what it appears on one of the Iron Range pages. There's somebody must have purchased Pizza Hut, and they're going to be doing some revamping of some hours and working on getting some new personnel trained. And
that's awesome. Of course,
my comment was, hey, go you. That's great. Anybody that's, and I don't care if you're in Biwabik, I don't care if you're in Virginia, I don't care if you're in Hibbing, anywhere else. If you're gonna go into business and you're gonna start and give back to the community with jobs and service, and that's how you're going to try to make your living, you have my support 100%, because I know it's not easy.
Absolutely. And I think I even talked about it before too, that starting a restaurant business is literally one of the hardest businesses that you can get into. It's far, and then the problem is you have to keep the prices low to get the customers, and then you have to pay the employee as well. So it's a very tough balancing act. And I think a lot of people, I hope people that are watching this should get a better understanding of like how that all works. I think then you'd have a little more empathy.
It's definitely a lot of work, and and I know that from personal experience. It's you're putting in a lot of hours, and you're, like you said, the balancing act of employees and cost of goods going up, and trying to not price yourself out of business, right. But at the same time you have to make money, otherwise there's no reason to do it. It's definitely a balancing act, and I commend anybody that's doing it. Even in Biwabik, we're in the process, and we'll continue now that we have a new administrator in place. We were going through a transition period, but we have now in the process of forming an EDA to get some of that economic development and work on how do we help businesses come into town and not only come to town, but be successful.
Right. So that's awesome. And I guess for you, why do you think volunteering is so deeply ingrained in the Iron Range culture?
I don't know where it comes from, but boy, I tell you, there's no place else that sees the amount of community effort that goes into everything around here. I mean, you look at how much work Revive Virginia puts in and how much the Biwabik Area Civic Association does. Then you've got Celebrate Aurora. Every town's got this group. I mean, we're even having a volunteer fair in February in Aurora for the east end of the range. But it's like myself, I remember, like I mentioned earlier, I remember Wynock Fest growing up. Well, Wynock Fest doesn't just happen.
Right.
It takes people to do that. And that's why I'm involved with the Civic Association is I want to see these things continue so that a whole new generation of kids can have those memories growing up and a whole new generation or an older generation of people that did their time can now sit back and enjoy the event. And I'm hoping for that same, hopefully that continues.
That's awesome. I mean, that's awesome. And then what advice would you give someone who wants to serve the community but isn't sure where to start?
Well, call me. I've kind of got a tie or not a tie necessarily, but I've got a contact to just about any organization around. And I do frequently get asked that same question by a lot of people. And it's, I always tell everybody, if you have even an hour a month, there's something that you can do to help out, even with an hour a month. And it may not be coming to a meeting. We may just send you off and say, hey, can you put this together? Can you stuff these envelopes? Can you address these? I mean, it's anything is possible. And I've noticed that once you get to that point of once you start volunteering, you don't stop. You just kind of continue and yeah, you have a problem saying no at some point, as my wife will point out to me very regularly.
And I guess for the listening audience, if somebody's watching right now and like, hey, I want to volunteer right now, how would they get a hold of you?
I have social media. And I have both a City of Biwabik Mayor page and my personal page. Shoot me an email, which is obviously all available online. Give me a call. My number's everywhere.
Yep.
You can call City Hall in Biwabik, and I got an extension there, and the voicemail rings right to my phone. So
if that's what it takes, is everybody just kind of chips in and kind of does their part. Not asking tons of hours, but if you could, everybody chip in like an hour or two a month, make a huge difference.
If everybody did that, we'd be scrambling to find stuff for them to do. If everybody gave an hour a month, So I mean, it's every little bit helps, and I can't remember the old saying, but more hands make light work, or however that saying goes. I don't want to mash it up or whatever, but it's very true. The three of us carrying, a table is a lot easier than just me fighting with it myself.
Smart.
So it's even simple things like putting away tables. We always need that. We need the cleanup crew after the events as well. Right. So
I love that. And then I guess what ultimately inspired you to run for mayor of Biwabik?
Well, I've been involved. I was on the Aurora City Council when I lived over there many years ago. And I've always taken an active part in the community and local government. And there was an opening on the city council. Somebody had resigned, and I couldn't tell you who it was. It was a couple of years ago now. And I had put in for the position, was appointed to fill that. And I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the community. So I put in, and I ran for city council seat, and then I ran for mayor just as I see a lot of potential in this town and within our city. There's a lot of room for, efficiency improvements and everything else. And I said, I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to make some hard, unpopular decisions. But if we can right the ship and we can start working in a much more sustainable direction, we're not going to see giant increases in taxes. We're not going to see, our city just sitting around waiting to die either. We're going to keep moving into the future. To take a step back, I had been involved in city government in the past. I always endearingly refer to my previous life as my time in Aurora when I was on the council over there. And I had moved to Biwabik for, at that point, a couple of years. And there was an opening on the council, and I said, geez, I should get involved instead of just sitting on the sidelines. So I did that, and I put in for the appointment. I got the appointment, which then I ran for the open seat. After 2 years, I said, I can see so much potential with not only Biwabik, but the entire region. But I see this potential, and I think we can guide the ship in a good path. So I ran for the mayor position, and with that, we've had some very big successes as we're trying to get different opportunities for the east end of the range, not just Biwabik. I mean, if I try to look at everything from a regional perspective, because if, in the words of former Senator Wellstone, we all do better when we all do better. Right. And there's nothing more true than that statement. I don't care what you're referring to, but the east end of the range has so much potential. We've got a fantastic ATV and snowmobile club that has done wonders for our trail system, our trail network. We've got some wetland crossings now that we're taking care of, and we're connected to the OHV Park in Gilbert. We're connected directly to Giants Ridge. The Mesabi Trail has now come into Biwabik. It was the final piece after, I think it was 21 or 22 years of waiting, but we've got such a potential for development. We're looking at building through our West Annex Park, which is, for those who don't know, is where our sliding hill is when you're coming into town from the west. It's right behind our welcome sign. We've got a big park area there that's been highly unused. We've got some really great landscape. The IRRR has now committed to building out single track mountain bike trail to the edge of their property. So as we're going to try to spur the development of our West Annex mountain bike park, we'll connect single track trail to Giants Ridge. I mean, it's just making a destination that is just absolutely fantastic.
Sure.
And we've got so much potential at our fingertips, and we are, Biwabik is the gateway to the East Range. You can't get to anywhere else without coming through town, and we're at a point where I could see a lot of good things on the horizon. Be it public investment, private investment. The IRRR built out the pool and sauna house at Giants Ridge this year to add that to that facility. And we've seen some private land in town be purchased for upcoming developments. And with all that, now we've got housing companies discussing with us on options to build housing. I mean, the whole piece of the pie about, and the IRRR investing into Giants Ridge, creating those jobs. Well, these people need a place to live when they're going to work there, right? So our apartments that were slightly run down right on our main street, the owners were, there's like, geez, we have such demand for housing. They came in, they remodeled everything, and now we endearingly and jokingly referred to one of the buildings as Giants Ridge dorm housing. So, I mean, the whole model of what everybody keeps talking about of economic diversification, job creation, housing, it's all kind of showcased right in Biwabik, and it's going to continue to grow, not only for Biwabik, but for the whole entire Iron Range.
That's awesome.
And that's, was part of my discussion as getting on the Rams board too. I said, I look at everything from a regional approach. If a family is going to come up to stay on the Iron Range, whether it be for a weekend, a week, we've got world-class golf courses, we've got OHV parks, we've got downhill lift-serve mountain biking, we've got redhead, so you've got single-track mountain bike trails. We've got everything you could possibly want from a recreational standpoint. And if you've got a family of 6 people and all 6 of them have different interests, we can find something for every single one of them to do awesome. Right here in our region.
Right,
so that was why I ran for mayor. I wanted to continue to build our community and build our region, just to be the best we can be.
Right. And it's not as, even like when I moved up here, I was like, man, this is kind of like a mini Colorado, mini Utah, but minus not having multi-million-dollar houses that you to cost of living. And the cost of living is relatively inexpensive, and it's, I guess, for you, like, how can, for residents who feel disconnected from the city government, why should they care?
Everything that happens at the city government level affects every single person that lives or works in that community. Sure. I mean, it goes above and beyond just the citizens. It goes on the people that, maybe own a business in town, everybody else. But everybody should pay attention. And I would say that in Biwabik, and I can't speak for any other township, cities, anything else, as I don't know. But I know in Biwabik, we have a very, very active community that's very involved in what's going on. I hear from citizens and business owners almost daily, and even it's just a matter of decisions that we make affect everybody. It affects your bottom line. It affects your quality of life. And there's a lot of pieces of the pie. And what's important to one person probably isn't important to the other. And finding that balance is very, very critical to be successful for everybody in town. So every single person should be paying attention. And I know that that's been one of my goals, and I'm still got a long ways to go, but more communication and more information to the public.
Right.
So, which again goes back to the whole social media thing, which
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
do try to use a lot of. So,
Right. And I guess for you, if you could leave listeners with one message about the community involvement, what would it be?
get involved, even if it's at the very minimal level. Join an email list
Right.
to get started. I mean, every little bit helps. And then, you get on an email list, and it's you all of a sudden the organization sees, oh, now we're reaching out to this many more people. Every little bit helps, even if you don't think it does.
Right.
And that generally then spurs more. You start getting that email, and then you start seeing what goes on.
Right.
And you're like, oh, geez, I think I want to be part of this. So it's just get involved, even if you don't think it's going to make a difference. Every little bit does.
Right. 100%. 100%. And then Steve, I think is that this time already? You got the rapid fire questions.
Oh boy,
I think
I didn't even study for the last one, so now you're gonna.
I think I like these ones. I think some of our listeners do too. It kind of makes everybody understand that everybody's human, right?
Right.
I mean, even at the politicians and just higher level people that higher level, we all have similar problems and similar issues. We all go to sleep and wake up, and I mean, just I guess we'll step back. I mean, if you could tell your younger self, like, give some advice to your younger self to like push forward on your goals, or like, what would that be? What would that look like?
Invest in Google. Invest in Amazon. Because if you had more money, you could give more back.
Yeah.
No, and I think about this question a lot, actually. And my wife and I were just on the road, and we had this conversation. Like, what would you tell your younger self? And, I guess I don't know, because I think like the path that my life has gone had a lot of ups and downs. There's there used to be skeletons in closets. Most of them are hanging out in the open now. But the only thing I would tell myself is just keep doing what you're doing and try to make a difference.
Right.
And whether that difference is, if you're making a difference in the life of, a young person through an Angel Tree Christmas donation,
Right.
they'll never know who it was even.
Oh, that's awesome.
Whether that, or whether you're going to run for president of the United States, make a difference and just keep doing what you're doing. That's all I would say, because I wouldn't want to change the path of where I've gone to this point.
That's great. And then we'll jump into it. Rapid fire questions there, Steve.
Oh boy.
All right. So coffee or pop?
Coffee. Lots of it.
Is it doctored up? Is there sugar cream, or is it?
Oh, it's sugar-free French vanilla.
Wow. Okay. A little venti.
Yeah.
And then pasties, gravy on top or on the side?
Gravy on the side, and Michigan's Upper Peninsula pasties.
Wow. Okay.
I just bought 5 of them when I was there last week, just to have in the freezer. So.
In Marquette?
Nope, I bought those in Twin Lakes on my way up to the Keweenaw Peninsula.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And then favorite. Cal had good response. Favorite Iron Range season?
Oof. Probably winter. And I say that because I'm an avid snowmobiler.
Okay.
And I love, but obviously this year's not cooperating. But I enjoy winter. I really do. I really do like it. So.
Snowmobile and ice fishing?
I don't ice fish.
No?
I just snowmobile, and our kid does a lot of skiing.
Sure.
He's a junior instructor at Giants Ridge, the whole
wow.
ball of wax. He's on the ski team.
Awesome.
So I guess even from a seasonal standpoint, like, our whole household is more upbeat once the ski hill opens.
Sure.
And even though I'm not a skier, I do spend a lot of time at the chalet though.
A lot of coffee at the chalet.
Yeah.
And then morning person or night owl?
Oof, halfway in between.
Okay.
I do the best between about 10 o'clock and probably 7 p.m.
Sure.
So.
And then, this is going to be, let's see, favorite local restaurant or hangout?
Boy, that's a tough one to narrow down.
I know, that's...
I do spend a lot of time at the Biwabik pub.
Okay.
And with Biwabik Pizza Co. there.
Sure.
So I would say, they're great. I do spend a lot of time at Neighbors, up at Giants Ridge, the Burnt Onion as well. It's really hard to narrow that down.
Yeah.
I want to showcase Biwabik there, obviously, the most, but, we do enjoy our trips over to Valentini's and Copper Nickel on the golf course and a few other spots too.
Sure. And then I think this is City council meetings or community events? Is an obvious answer.
Yeah, community events, definitely. Although our council meetings aren't bad. So.
Not bad. Okay,
No.
good. And then one word to describe Biwabik.
Best.
The best or best?
Best.
Best. Okay.
It's only got one word. It's
Hey, that's all I was looking for. Best advice you've ever received.
oof, boy. That's a really tough one. I've received a lot of advice over the years, but I would have to say that the best advice I ever got was, treat people with kindness and respect.
Right. That's awesome. And then if you weren't mayor, what would you be doing?
Probably snowmobiling in the UP right now, riding motorcycle a lot more.
Yeah. Sure.
Spending more time at the cabin,
Yeah.
But
Keep it simple.
yep.
And then what was your first job?
I was a cart attendant at Target.
Oh, really?
Yep. That was
Virginia?
Yep, right here in Virginia. And I was 16 years old, so.
Did you, when working those jobs, did you ever think I should be doing, or you just kind of focus, did you ever think I should be doing something else? Or did you just focus at the job at hand and just try to be the best at it?
Oh, I just always focused on the job at hand.
Yeah.
And of course, like anybody else, you're always keeping an eye out. But, at 16 years old, I was just happy to be working.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And making money. And I've worked, I've done everything from slinging and delivering pizzas in high school to, navigating an aircraft carrier to
Wow.
mining and everything else. So
Sure.
that's.
And then did you play any sports or have any hobbies growing up?
I didn't play any sports when I was younger. I did. I was very focused on like student government, community education, that kind of stuff, and even in high school. So yeah, I wasn't a sports person by any means, but
Sure.
I was the guy taking pictures for the yearbook though,
Right.
on the sidelines
Yeah,
of every game. So
Somebody's got
Yep.
to do it. And then favorite childhood meal?
oof, probably spaghetti and meatballs. Very simple. Always a favorite though.
Breadsticks or
Garlic bread.
garlic bread? Okay.
Yeah.
And then who was your childhood hero?
Probably my grandfather.
Sure.
Yeah, my grandfather. I spent a lot of time with him growing up, and I definitely looked up to him as a kid growing up.
Right.
You know,
And during hard times, was that somebody you kind of reached out to or kind of helped you out, or when you're younger?
it's a little different because he was kind of the tough love kind of.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of that communication or whatever else. But I had a very, very close network of family and friends. So,
Right.
from that perspective, there was some friends I just would reach out to.
Right. And I feel like now there's a lot of hard times for a lot of people. A lot of people trying to figure it out, financially and just trying to put it all together. I guess what would be your advice for people to get out of their rut or, and kind of move forward? I know that we kind of talked about volunteering and stuff, but some people, they feel like they just don't have enough bandwidth just because they're so stretched thin as everything's so expensive. And what would be kind of your advice to hey, here's probably what you want to do?
When you do get involved, you end up with a network of friends. And even if you're not involved, I know through our American Legion in Aurora, I've sat and met with multiple people in the last few months about, some hard times and sharing those resources. But I guess to reach out to somebody, whether it's myself or another, community leader or anything. Reach out and utilize those resources. I mean, you've got the AUA, you've got United Way, you've got different. If you're a veteran, you've got the VA, you've got the Minnesota Department of Veteran Affairs. There's a lot of resources that I don't think people know about. So, reach out.
Sure.
That's anybody that's going through a hard time. That's reach out to somebody.
Yeah, and I was just at the gym and hibbing at Steel Fitness, and the guy, veteran, had a stroke. Yeah, and he had a stroke a couple months ago, and his whole right side of his body was numb. So he's trying to go over different ways to kind of heal the process. And then I just seen him, what was it, 2 days ago, and seen him for a month or two. His speech is all slurred and all. I feel so bad for him. So I don't know. And he's just going through a lot of hard times too. And I just said, yeah, it's better to be around people than to be by yourself.
Absolutely.
And
It
I think
always
that's,
is.
I guess what's something about you that might surprise a lot of people?
I don't think there's much left for surprise.
Sure.
If you want to talk about the stereotypical open book, that's me. I don't hide anything. I don't hold anything back, and I guess I can't think of anything that everybody doesn't already know, because I'm very, like you said, I'll sit down next to somebody at an airport, and by the time we walk out of that, or, out of that airplane, we're, my life story and I know yours. So I don't hold back a lot.
Who did that come from? Somebody that you've seen, somebody growing up was like that, or was there somebody?
I have no idea. Nope. It just, I was actually adopted.
Oh, wow.
So from like a family, like a hereditary thing, not really sure. Okay. I do know like my biological family, but I don't know like that much in depth. So I think it's just one of those things that just comes natural. And, a lot of our friends will just kind of laugh because we'll all be somewhere in a group, and then I'm off talking to somebody else in a different part of the, different part of the bar, different part of the museum, different part of the wherever we are. And they're all sitting there like, oh, there he is again. There's a group in town, even they call it Steving. They've turned my lifestyle into a verb.
So you were adopted. I mean, did you ever meet your...
I did when I turned 18, and
Okay.
I keep in contact some, but yeah.
Okay, and do they live on the Iron Range or?
No, south of here, so Duluth area.
Okay. And I think we kind of touched on that one as well. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Well, like I said earlier, do what you do. Keep doing what you're doing and try to make a difference.
Right.
That's the best thing you can do.
Sweet. Well, it's Steve. That's all the questions I have. Steve, if people want to get in touch with you or follow your journey, you said it's primarily just Facebook right now, and then.
Yep, I'm kind of working on a website, in my spare time, which I don't have a lot of that.
Sure.
But yeah, like I said, everything I have on Facebook is 100% open. Same with my Instagram. Same with anything. So. But getting a hold of me at City Hall, just, sbondich@gmail.com, the easiest email. First initial, last name at Gmail. So I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So, yeah, definitely. And like I said, you don't have to be from Biwabik to reach out. Right. And you don't have to be a veteran to reach out. I'm always willing to and open to, like, hey, I'll gladly guide you in the right direction, because I've got contacts all across the range. So if you're in Virginia and you want to know how to get involved, I can get you into somebody that can help you get involved.
Right. Well, Steve. Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Absolutely. No.
Thanks for tuning in to the Iron Range Adventure Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who loves the Iron Range as much as we do. You can follow us on social media at Iron Range Adventures across most platforms, and find more episodes, stories, and adventures at Iron Range Adventures.